So I'm waiting. Okay, so what we did, we just finished up. Okay, I'm waiting for table 5. So what we just finished up is the study. We obviously looked at the Gettysburg Address, which is one speech. Okay. So what we're going to go into now is lesson 3. Okay. Okay, put the paper down, Jonah. Okay. So we're going to start talking about speeches and what the purpose of speeches is. Okay. So can you hit the space bar for me, Crystal?
Yeah.
And turn around and face me as well. So, what is the purpose of a speech? Well, that's what this lesson is going to be about. Okay. So the lesson is going to be about what's the purpose of the speech. Okay. But before we can, so what you need to understand about the purpose of a speech is, like other informational text, the purpose of a speech is to either explain, persuade, or inspire. It could also be all 3, or just 2, or whatever, okay? But those are the 3 main purposes of speeches, okay guys? And we're going to look at 3 speeches in this lesson throughout the next few days that happened during the Civil Rights Movement, okay? Yes, Lakira.
What do you mean by inspire? Okay,
what do I mean by inspire? So, if you guys remember, if you've ever seen Dr. Martin Luther King's speech, I Have a Dream, okay? That speech, I would say the main purpose of that speech was to inspire people, okay? Was to inspire people to join his movement for equality for African Americans in the 1960s. We are going to look at Dr. King's...
We are loud.
We're going to look at Dr. King's speech during this lesson and during this unit. Not today, but we'll look at it probably on Tuesday.
Are we going to watch it or look at it?
Okay, so I need
Martin
hands.
Luther King Jr. Dang. Don't play dumb.
Well, dang.
Hey guys. So we're going to look at that speech. We could watch it, okay? But we're going to get there. But yes, Lakira, to answer your question, he wanted to inspire people to join his movement. Jonah, your name's on the board. Okay?
My name's Caucasian.
So, can you hit the space bar for me, please?
No.
Well, I'm sorry, we need to go back. Okay, so how do speeches accomplish those 3 things? Okay? In order for you to understand how speeches accomplish these aims, you must understand, number 1, the rhetorical devices used in speeches, okay? So that means like what they're saying, what words they're choosing to use, the emotions that they're bringing out in people, okay? Those are the rhetorical devices. How these devices are used, and then why they are used, okay? So we're going to look at how and why these rhetorical devices are used, okay? And we're also going to look at what they are specifically, okay? Finally, these are the other important characteristics of speeches, okay? So speeches are usually meant for a specific audience, okay? They have a, as we just learned with the Gettysburg Address, when you give a speech, you have to consider the knowledge that the audience shares, okay? You can't just give a speech and expect everyone to know what you're talking about if you're giving a speech on an economic policy and people have no idea what you're talking about, okay? The same with the Gettysburg Address. I couldn't expect to hand you all the speech and say, read this and understand it. If you guys didn't know what was happening in 1863, if you didn't know who Abraham Lincoln was, okay? So that's why we read that background information, okay? Speeches have to have a purpose, okay? If you give a speech and you don't have a purpose set out from the beginning, then people are just going to get bored and not pay attention, okay?
Right.
Okay? Speeches emphasize a main idea. A main idea. Notice I didn't say 5 main ideas, okay? Maybe there will be 2. But if you have like 5 different main ideas, and you're talking about this one, and then you move on to this one, and then you talk about this one, and then you go back to that one, then people are going to have no idea what you're talking about. And they're going to lose you, and you're not going to accomplish what you're there to do, okay? You got to focus on a main idea. And a good speaker conveys certain emotions to his or her audience. So as we saw with the advertisements in lesson 1, they appeal to your emotions because they want you to buy something. They want to persuade you to buy something. The same with speeches, okay? If President Obama starts out a speech and he wants to pull at your heartstrings, maybe he'll start out with a really tragic or heartbreaking story, and then he's got everybody listening to him. He's got everybody kind of feeling sad, and then he can appeal to their emotions and help and accomplish his goal for that speech, okay? So those are the things that I wanted you guys to know before we get into today's lesson, okay? So we have 3 activities that I wanted to get through today. I'm thinking we may only get through 2, but let's go ahead and I'm going to explain what we're going to do for the first part, okay? So you're going to begin in groups of 4, and you're already in groups of 4. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 4, okay? And we have 1 person missing, so there'll be a group of 2. But what you're going to do, this is going to be your base group, okay? And what I mean by that is this is the group that you're going to start with. And then later on in the lesson over the next few weeks, you're going to move out into expert groups where you're with different people and you read and become an expert on like a speech or information. Like a speech. Okay, like a speech or background information on a speech. And what's going to happen is then you're going to come back and share that information with your base group. But I'm going to explain more about that when we get there. Okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the 3 appeals. Okay? The 3 appeals are ethos, logos, and pathos. You've learned these in language arts, so we're going to look at them again. Okay? And what we're going to do today, specifically, is we're going to, in pairs, you're going to read and discuss each of the appeals. Okay? So I'm going to give you each a set of 3 cards, and it has ethos, logos, and pathos on it. Okay? And you and your partner are going to read these descriptions together. Okay? As you read them, you're going to fill out the handout on page 2 of lesson 3, okay? It's called the appeals card matrix, okay? So you and your partner are going to read about each of the appeals, and you're going to fill in this chart, okay? There's 3 questions that you have to answer for each appeal, okay? The third part of the handout, you will need to think of a magazine, newspaper, or TV ad for each appeal, okay? So it'll ask you to think of what is an advertisement you've seen that uses ethos? What's an advertisement you've seen that uses logos? What's an advertisement that you've seen that uses pathos? Okay? And so that'll be the first part. And if we have time, we're going to do an activity called sort and label. And you're going to, in your base group, the group of 4, you're going to get pink slips of paper that have an advertisement described on it. Okay? And you're going to sort which one of the appeals you think that one belongs in. Okay? So if you feel like it's a ethos appeal, you would put it under ethos. If you feel like it's a pathos, you put it under pathos. If you feel like it's a logos, you put it under logos. Okay? But we'll see if we get to that. So let's go over these questions really quickly so that you don't have any questions about them. And then I'm going to release you and I'm going to pass these cards out and you guys are going to get started. Okay? So each of these, for each of these questions you answer for ethos, logos, and pathos. Okay? So the first question is, what is the derivation of this word? What are some words in English that come from this term? So, does anyone know what derivation means? Raise your hand.
What? Derivation.
Yes, sir.
Durable, like
Hold on. Come on, raise his hand.
Batteries?
Go ahead.
Like endure? Kind of the same
Oh,
meaning?
that's derivation.
Not quite. Okay. Derivation, but I think I know what you're talking about. Derivation means where does the word come from? From where is the word derived? Okay? So it's okay. Where does the word come from? And on each of these green sheets of paper, it'll tell you where the word comes from. Okay. And it also asks you for a few words that have the same maybe beginning, like ETH or LOG or PATH. Okay. It's gonna ask you for some English words.
path,
Like path. Yes. Okay. So it'll ask you for some English words that come from this term, either ethos, logos, or pathos. The next one asks you to give a 1-sentence summary of the appeal. So in 1 sentence, what does ethos mean? In 1 sentence, what does logos mean? In 1 sentence, what does pathos mean? Then, the last one, like I told you, think of an ad on TV or a billboard or anything that utilizes or uses this type of appeal. What is it and why is it an example of that appeal? Okay? Does this make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Are there any questions before I hand out the green slips of paper?
Me.
Also, this will be left up, so if you have any questions, you can refer to this. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes after I pass out these for you to finish your graphic organizer. Remember, finishing these graphic organizers is part of your grade, okay? So do that. And if there's any questions, I'll take those now. No questions? Okay, I'm going to come around with these green sheets of paper. As soon as you get it, you can open up to page 2 of lesson 3 and get started. You two working together, okay? Here you go, look harder. You guys working together. You two work together.
Who you talking to?
What? The page. These? I know. That's why these are on here. That's why you're reading.